Hey guys, welcome back to Route 66 Restoration Channel. Just kind of wanted to give you a bit of an update today on I'm working on the fenders. This particular is my my driver's side front fender. As you can see, she's a bit rough. We got some rot in there. All right, and then it's pretty heavily pitted too. Okay. And then if you go to the inner fender, she's pretty ripe there and rotted off, even bent up a little bit. And then if you go to here, the fender well is pretty much bad, and obvious Swiss cheese right here. Dog in the background's Lucy. And but the inner support has not got any holes in it that I've seen. So I think I can just clean that up, maybe a little sandblasting or possibly some rust reformer of some sort, and but we'll get to that. But one of the things I do have for the back here is I do have a partial patch panel to replace this here. So, and that patch panel fits in. Now, I think it'll fit in right there, and that'll be all right. You know, it'll fit in on that, and so I can replace that part of that wheel well lip. It's then down to here. I have to make that corner part of it here, but I'll probably only go up to here and not all the way up like the panel would go. But I want to show you something. You know, we paid big money for these panels, and they don't fit. They don't even have the proper, if you look at it, it doesn't even have the proper arc here. And then it's too long. So when you buy these panels, you're moving everything around. And I know a lot of guys think that they can't make panels, but there's lots of guys that are making these little pieces, and how you're doing it, you're making it with a piece initially. But sometimes you'll come across a deal of something weird. I knew that this was bad on my fender, and I didn't know how bad it was. I just knew that there was holes in it. But I'm like, well, I can replace that, probably make a patch for that, no problem. But then I come across a panel that I'd never seen before, and this was at Pigeon Forge last year. So it has this form in it already. Now, being that it's a stamping, like I say, they're not made right. Okay, this particular fender was probably actually stamped flat, and then they put it in a forming die to form this flat shear on it, right? This flat bend. It was done in a secondary operation. A lot of these guys, when they're designing, I think these engineers that design these panels, they don't think of that. I mean, they just think of getting, well, I got to get the form and the shape. Well, the shape and the form don't necessarily match. And so I got this particular panel. I am going to cut it up. I'm going to use it. I'm going to put it in there, but I'll dolly this flat as I can, and I'll dolly this to be as flat as I can, and I'm going to keep as much of the old fender as I possibly can. That way it has the proper shape. I'm not modifying anything, and it won't affect the fit down the road. And so we're working with this metal. There's a guy that I was watching do concrete years ago, and he says his tagline's like, it's no big deal. Well, it is no big deal when you have the welder and you have a dolly and a hammer, a grinder. You can do these things. Even if you just have the basics of a dolly, a hammer, and a grinder, you can do a lot. And I know there are other channels out there that guys watch. Fitzy Fabrication is one of them. Bad Chad is another one. They all make content, and who's the other one? Make It Custom. Even the guy from Brent from he just had a fire. I don't remember the name of his channel, but anyhow, these guys all are making these panels. They're not buying everything. And when you start buying this stuff, I mean, when you're on a forum, the first thing somebody says, oh, you can buy that. Well, you don't necessarily have to buy every piece, and that's kind of what I'm doing. So follow me along on this particular fender. It's probably going to be several episodes, and it'll give you an idea of how I do it. Now, do I do it the right way? Maybe not, but it's the way that I do it. And sometimes life is like a buffet. You go up to the buffet table and pick out what you want. And so information is the same way. You pick out what will work for you and what you can blend with your skills and your ability and accomplish. But these repairs, this piece, another, I like making patterns. So I'm going to make a pattern off of my good fender. I'm going to transpose it to this one. I'll just make it in reverse, and we'll do it. And it might have to be in several pieces. I'm not opposed to that. As long as it's whole and looks halfway proper when it goes back on, it's an inner fender well, not going to be highly seen, but it has to serve a function of keeping water out of the car, keeping water out of as much of the underneath as it can. Not that I want to drive it in the rain, but yeah, I might get caught in the rain. You never know. So anyways, guys, all that to blather on, but this is the adventure on this fender. So let's see how she comes out in the days ahead. Take it easy.